Hey guys, let's get more news about Steelers, but first, don't forget to subscribe and leave your like. I don't want him to win again. Skip Bayless fires opinion on Lamar Jackson's MVP consideration. Lamar Jackson, quarterback for the Baltimore Ravens, is being touted to win MVP for the third time in his career. However, TV personality, Skip Bayless, wants something better for him. According to Bayless, Lamar Jackson deserves to win the AFC Championship game and more. I can make a strong case that Lamar Jackson deserves MVP, but I don't want him to win again. I want him to win the AFC Championship game. I wouldn't mind it if he won his first Super Bowl. But no MVP win. Unfortunately, Lamar is just 2-4 in the playoffs. He has 6 touchdowns to 6 interceptions in the playoffs, with 3 lost fumbles, Skip Bayless said on Tuesday. Despite Lamar Jackson performing really well this NFL season, the Baltimore Ravens failed to make it to the playoffs. Still, because of their stellar record, the Ravens are considered an easy wildcard team and will try their best to win against the Steelers in their next game. On the other side, the Pittsburgh Steelers finished second in the AFC North after winning 10 games and losing 7. For their last game of the season, the Steelers took on the Cincinnati Bengals and lost with a final score of 19-17. Smooth sailing has never been a part of Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback Justin Fields' career. From fruitless attempts at proving himself as a franchise quarterback with the Chicago Bears to the looming arrival of Caleb Williams, his tenure with Chicago was nothing if not turbulent. Thus, it was no surprise he was traded for the low price of a day 3 pick in the offseason. Reviving his career with the Steelers started out encouragingly, playing in Russell Wilson's place for the first 6 weeks of the year. He was 4-2 and setting himself for a promising second contract before being benched by head coach Mike Tomlin. Despite the improvements, and the winning record, and the help he brings to the ground game, Wilson reclaimed the starting spot he left vacant with an injury in the summer. It turned out to be the right move, at least for the middle of the season. Wilson won 6 of his first 7 starts before Pittsburgh's recent 4-game slide. That certainly complicated the discussion about Fields' future prospects and whether he'll be taking snaps for the Steelers or another team if he hits free agency in March. Despite the demotion, Fields dropped an encouraging take on where he'd like to play. "I want to be here," Fields said, via TribLive. "I'm kind of tired of learning a new offense every year. This will be my 3rd in 4 years. Of course I'd love to be back, but that's all up to God at the end of the day. I'll be where God wants me to be." Learning a new offense is a tall task for any young quarterback, and part of why firing a head coach after a passer's rookie season seems to rarely work. The Bears fired head coach Matt Nagy after Fields' unimpressive rookie season, but the new regime, with offensive coordinator Luke Getsy calling plays, didn't generate enough improvement to make good on Fields' potential. Getting traded to Pittsburgh meant learning another offense, although the early returns suggested his match with offensive coordinator Arthur Smith was his best one yet. Sharp can't put all blame on Russell Wilson with George Pickens playing like a receiver that turned into a retriever. The Pittsburgh Steelers' offense runs through Russell Wilson and George Pickens, at least when it manages to run. That is, anyway, the areas in which the Steelers are most effective. The running game is voluminous, but inefficient, yet also necessary. At the end of the day, they're simply trying to make the best of what they have, Shannon Sharp says. "We cannot place all this at the feet of Russell Wilson when he has a guy that's supposed to be a receiver that turned into a retriever," Sharp said on First Take. "That meant he picked the ball up and handed it to the official. That's not your job description, George Pickens. Your job is to catch the football." Just to clarify Sharp's statement even further, he is referring to Pickens' drops from the last game. He became a retriever because he let the ball hit the ground and had to go get it. In the finale, he caught 1 pass on 6 targets from Wilson for 0 yards. For his part, Russell Wilson has been consistently and unfailingly supportive of George Pickens. He vouches for his top receiver every chance he gets, especially at his lowest moments. That is a natural part of Wilson's leadership, but he has been particularly relentless with Pickens. The conversation around him is always an interesting one, too, I find. So often we end up conflating talent with achievement. When it comes to George Pickens, both with Russell Wilson and before, it has always been about potential. Yet we somehow almost always manage to leave out the fact that he doesn't always live up to his potential. He doesn't make as many of the plays he is supposed to make as a top receiver in the game. But when it comes to the Steelers' success or failure with Russell Wilson, it goes far beyond Pickens for sharp. Arthur Smith's got to do a better job of scheming, he said. You see your left tackle is getting it handed to him Saturday, and you empty the backfield. You don't slide the protection to him, you don't chip, you don't help, you do nothing. He is referring to Dan Moore Jr., who played a major role in allowing Trey Hendrickson to sack Wilson 3.5 times in the finale. It's a wonder he even had time to get the ball out to Pickens 6 times during the game. The Steelers hired Smith this offseason to improve the offense, but it's fair to question the initial results. But then, are the results on Smith or are they on the players, or rather, how much blame do we assign to each variable? Both Russell Wilson and George Pickens have contributed negatively for the Steelers in recent weeks. While both have made plays, they have also been a part of the problem as well as a part of the solution. Shannon Sharpe believes they can win if they build a team around Wilson, but not with Pickens. Steelers urged to replace Russell Wilson with former NFL MVP. Russell Wilson and the Pittsburgh Steelers had a rough end to the 2024 NFL regular season. After missing the first 6 games of the season, Wilson made his Steelers debut in Week 7 against Aaron Rodgers and the New York Jets. In his first 7 games, the former Seattle Seahawks quarterback led Pittsburgh to a 6-1 record, jumping his team to 10-3 overall. However, the Steelers ended the year on a 4-game losing streak and the offense has looked like a shell of itself. While Pittsburgh prepares for its wild card matchup against the Baltimore Ravens, some are already thinking about the team's future. That includes NFL insider Peter King. On Tuesday, King joined Let's Go on SiriusXM Radio and mentioned that he believes the Steelers should replace Wilson. The one name he had in mind was Rodgers. I think we have seen Russell Wilson hit a wall, King said. If I were the Pittsburgh Steelers, knowing I got guys on defense with their expiration dates not long in the future, I would want to come in and try to get a quarterback who could make me competitive with Baltimore and Cincinnati in 2025. And that guy to me would be Aaron Rodgers. Following the 2023 season, a year that Rodgers spent mostly on the bench due to an Achilles injury, many had high expectations for the Jets with their star quarterback returning to the field. However, New York wound up worse than they were without Rodgers, finishing the season 5-12. Rodgers, 41, still had a solid season statistically and could be an upgrade for the Steelers if Wilson fails to deliver in the postseason. On the season, the 4-time NFL MVP completed 368 of 584 passes for 3,897 yards, 28 touchdowns, and 11 interceptions. Wilson didn't have a bad season himself, despite the poor ending, throwing for 2,482 yards, 16 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions, while adding another 2 scores on the ground. Still, if Pittsburgh fails to make any noise in the playoffs, another change could be coming for Mike Tomlin and company. And you fan? What do you think of the situation of Aaron Rodgers? Leave your opinion in the comments.